The Frindle Files by Andrew Clements. Chapter 1, Results. The only thing Josh Willett liked about homework was how quickly he could access his assignments. All he had to do was turn on his laptop, then click the 6th grade homework portal he'd bookmarked on his browser at the start of the school year. This system let Josh zoom through his homework so he could get back to the things he cared about most, like a new coding program, or a new digital animation project, or a new action sequence for the online game he'd wanted to build, because Josh always had something new to work on, a plan he was hatching, and usually it involved his computer. On this Monday evening in mid-September, without taking his fingers off the keyboard or his eyes off the screen, Josh sat at the kitchen table and crushed his homework for math, science, and social studies in less than 20 minutes, including the time it took to post each finished assignment. Then he clicked the link for his ELA class. The image of a handwritten note popped open on his screen. Homework due Tuesday. Describe something you think is beautiful. Make your description at least 100 words long. Avoid cliches and remember this advice from page 70 of The Elements of Style. Write in a way that comes naturally. Copy your final draft onto lined paper in blue or black ink and turn in the assignment Tuesday at the beginning of class. As always, neatness counts. Mr. N. The assignment itself, plus the way it had been written by hand, plus the whole neatness counts thing, all of it made Josh scowl and grit his teeth. A chore like this should only take about 10 minutes. Type it, format it, spell check it, post it, and whoosh, done. But having to write out every language arts assignment in ink on paper, it was annoying, slow, and totally pointless, not to mention bad for the environment. Didn't Mr. N understand anything? It wasn't that Mr. N was mean or unfair. He just seemed so backward and also dull, except for the way he dressed. He owned at least 10 Hawaiian shirts, and he wore one each day, along with surfer shorts, hiking socks, and sandals. He would wear cargo pants, but only if the outdoor temperature got below 65 degrees. His dark red hair never looked completely tamed, especially when he rode his bike to school. Some days it seemed like he was trying to grow a mustache or a beard or both. Plenty of people in Southern California wore casual clothes, but at Clara Vista Middle School, Mr. N could win a prize for least dressed up teacher every single day. The most backward thing about Mr. N, he was the only teacher in the whole school who didn't let kids use laptops in class. He claimed there was no rule saying he had to allow them. Josh had checked the school handbook after getting the first assignment just to make sure. Josh wasn't sure if Mr. N even owned a computer. There was a rumor that once he'd had a big argument with Mr. Ortega about posting his homework assignments on the school website. Mr. N had told the principal that writing assignments on the board in his classroom was enough, and he didn't mean one of the smart boards that every other teacher used. No, Mr. N had an actual chalkboard that he could move around the room on wheels. The whiteboard was there, but Mr. N kept it hidden behind a huge poster about the parts of speech. And that miserable little grammar book, The Elements of Style, most of it was over 100 years old. Almost every day, Mr. N made the entire class open to a certain page, and then some poor kid would have to stand up and read something out loud. If you forgot to bring your copy to class, you'd get a red mark in the grade book, and 3 marks made your whole grade drop 5 points. Antique books, ancient chalkboards, handwriting on paper. Mr. N's class felt like being stuck inside a broken time machine. More like a time-wasting machine. It was so frustrating to Josh, who just wanted Mr. N to appreciate the world his students were actually living in. But grumbling was also a waste of time, so Josh opened a new document on his laptop. He had to write out the final copy by hand, but he always typed his first draft like a normal human being living in the 21st century. Something beautiful. Josh stared at the empty document on his screen, watching the cursor as it blinked and blinked. He had no ideas, not even a bad one. But as he looked at that blinking cursor, he decided it must be appearing once each second, a half second on, a half second off. He opened the stopwatch app on his iPhone and ran a quick test. Yep, 1 blink per second. And Josh understood why. The cursor blinked once each second because somewhere inside his laptop there was a line or two of computer code. A programmer had written that code, which told the computer what to do, and the computer obeyed. It had no choice because good code is like a set of unbreakable rules. And if the programmer gets everything right, that code keeps working and working perfectly, practically forever. And that's what I'm going to write about. A few hours earlier, during his after-school coding club, Josh had finished writing a perfect Python loop statement, a sequence of instructions that repeated itself until a specific goal was met. And that loop was beautiful. A flurry of words rushed into his mind, and Josh's fingers zipped around the keyboard. 6 or 7 minutes later, the counter at the bottom of his document showed he had typed 136 words, just like that. After some quick proofreading, he began writing his final copy on a sheet of lined paper, neatly. Josh knew he had scrunchy handwriting, but his spelling was perfect and his sentences made sense. The page looked clean and organized, and word after word flowed onto the paper in bright blue ink. With only 4 sentences left to copy, disaster struck. The pen skipped, and the dry point almost tore his paper. It was out of ink. Josh shook the pen and tried it again. Nothing. He banged it on the edge of the kitchen table, but that didn't help either. So he dug around in his backpack and found 2 other pens. He tested one on a scrap of paper. Black ink. He tried the second. More black ink. And he needed blue ink to match what he'd started with for Mr. N, the neatness nut. I guess I could start over and use black ink, Josh shouted. Hey, Mom, I'm right here and quiet down. Dad's putting Sophie to bed. Josh hurried through the doorway into the family room. I need a pen with blue ink so I can finish Mr. N's homework. Check the middle drawer of my desk. Josh opened the drawer, and the first pen he tried, blue ink. Got one, thanks. Back at the kitchen table, Josh was about to start writing again. Then he noticed something printed on the side of the pen. One word in bold black letters. Frindle. It was a word he'd never seen before, which made him curious, and Josh did what any other plugged-in kid would do. He searched the word on his browser, Frindle, and then he hit return. Whoa, 270,000 results? After clicking a few links, Josh opened up the images that were part of the search results, a lot of images. The very first picture showed some kid on a TV talk show smiling at the camera and holding up a pen. And in another image halfway down his screen, Josh saw a close-up of a pen that was exactly like his mom's. He dashed back to the family room. Hey, Mom, where did you get this pen? She looked and then smiled. I've had that since 6th grade. Everyone at my school started calling pens Frindles, and when those showed up in stores, I bought a couple. So did all my friends. It was kind of a big thing for a while. Is it okay if I use this one to finish my homework? Sure, but then put it back, please. That might be a collector's item someday. Josh hurried back to the table to finish his homework, shaking the old pen as he went. 3 minutes later, he was done with his final draft, and even though the ink from his mom's pen wasn't a perfect match, it was definitely blue. He returned the pen to her desk, then went back to his computer. The picture results were still on his screen, and Josh clicked the photo of that kid holding up his pen on a talk show. The enlarged image gave him a good look at the boy. Red hair, glasses, freckles, and a wide smile. Josh read the words below the picture. Nicholas Allen, age 11, inventor of the word Frindle. Cool, he whispered, impressed that a kid his age was an inventor. He looked at the boy's face and then leaned in closer to the screen, still looking. Josh whispered, No way. He clicked back to his homework assignment page, then back to the school's home page. He kept clicking links until there was a second photo open on his screen, and he put the 2 pictures side by side, the boy on the left and the new photo on the right. Then Josh almost stopped breathing. The kid on the left was 11 and the man on the right was at least 30, but Josh was sure he was looking at two photos of the same person. And that man on the right, it was his language arts teacher, Mr. N, also known as Mr. Alan Nicholas. Goodbye.